Gentlemen, ladies, and anyone in between, I welcome you all, and today I want to spend about 5 minutes talking about my initial impressions after about 1,000 casts worth of actual fishing time put on the new $99 Shimano SLX. Now, before we get started, generally speaking, I don't like putting out reviews until I've thoroughly put a reel through its paces, and in this case, this is not going to be a true review. Just my, early impressions, early experiences on the water, throwing a variety of baits, and just to give you an idea what I was throwing, pretty much everything in this box, very aerodynamic, jerk baits, shadow wrap shads, Peo roller crooks, which somebody recommended to me. These sort of baits, different variety of weights and sizes. Short square bills and some lucky craft baits. Your run-of-the-mill bass jigs and spinner baits, all that kind of good jazz. Worms, not really Carolina rigged, but nose pegged worms, that kind of stuff. Kind of like wake baits like these. Savage gears. I am a Savage gear line through addict. These are actually in fairly good conditions. There's one that I just use pretty much every day that is rough. That's actually on the rod right now. And the new Teckle Sprinker look-alike thing. It's not really a sprinker. It's got that little rattling blade. Just to give you an idea what I'm throwing. And I got to tell you, I like it. As far as what it feels like on the retrieve, for 99 bucks, I don't think I've really used too many reels that feel as refined as this. I think some of it has to do with the squishy knobs, maybe kind of absorbing some of what's going on the inside, but at the same time, it's a very smooth reel. There's no way around it. For 99 bucks, it's smoother than anything from Abu. It's smoother than anything from Daiwa, including the Fuego CT. From Luz and all the other reels in that price range. When retrieving baits, it's definitely noticeably smoother, noticeably quieter. Casting performance is interesting. I find that I do have to go in and change the brake settings between 2 and 3 more often than I would like. I wish it did have that external dial here that I could set it at 2 and kind of ramp it up a little bit versus that static fixed internal brake ring. I found that with some bigger baits that were not as aerodynamic as, say, a Rapala Shadow Wrap Shad, I would have to go up to 3. And I fish a lot at night. And sometimes when I fish at night, not only can I not see, but sometimes I can't hear depending on what's around me if I'm fishing heavy current, if there's wind in the trees and that kind of stuff. So you can't really hear the reel going out. You can't really hear the splash down. There's just certain things that you kind of senses that you lose out on. And I find that you're almost at more risk, and you don't want to hammer a cast out because you don't want to run into a big overrun. And generally speaking, I overspool these my reels. I lost about 15 yards of line because I went to go pull out a snag and I wrapped the dowel around the line and broke the dowel. You never want to pull out a snag by just thumbing the spool and pulling back with 30-pound braid, especially if you tie a strong knot, because you'll do some damage. So you can see this minus 40 feet of line, and that's how much is on here after I've been fishing it. So I overspool my spools more often than not, especially when I'm doing some of these tests, because I like to see how they perform. If I'm overspooling, that means the natural tendency of the spool to slow down as the line gets pulled out and this exposed arbor increases, or exposed flange increases, and there's less line being paid out per rotation. That's that's a natural break, and I like to have them as hot and speedy as possible. And this is 30 pounds, super slick, just what I had lying around, brand new, out of the box, not even broken in. Handled it very well. I did notice with an 8-pound braid, Suffix 832, which is the line that if you've watched previous videos, that's what that line was on here. Very well worn in, not even the original color anymore, very soft, worn in again. Very thin line. It didn't do all that well with the super light stuff. I found that I wasn't ever really comfortable removing my thumb off the spool with a wider variety of baits than I would with the 30-pound braid. I was just literally always letting my thumb glide on that spool. If I felt any kind of fluff come up, I would just kind of like lean my finger over, making sure it was in check. I want to keep it tame and not blow up, because if you blow up with 8-pound braid, that line's now compromised. Doesn't matter what brand it is. So if you have a pretty nasty overrun with 8-pound braid, you can expect its actual breaking strength, which is usually around 18, 20 pounds, to be down at around 10 for that section of the line. So it's one of those things that, again, for 100 bucks, for a lot of applications, I really like it. But for some applications, there are clearly better options, mainly being any reel that has an externally adjustable brake. So the Lew's, the Abu Garcias, the Daiwas that have that externally adjustable brake, even the old Shimano Cassidus and Sinan and whatever they are, that is a nice feature to have, and I wish they had implemented in this reel. And what I mean by that, in case you haven't figured it out yet, is you have your SVS brake, whereas on the other reels, there's a dial on the outside that you turn, which moves this ring in and out, and depending on where it is in relation to the brakes, it's going to increase or decrease depending on how you turn the dial. So this is so anytime you want to adjust the braking, and it's also worth mentioning, I don't know if you can hear that knock side to side, but I don't ever use spool tension at all whatsoever to, brake my reels. I always have it so that there's side to side plate. I don't want any braking from this at all. I don't want any friction from this at all. I just want my thumb and the brake here. And, reels from Daiwa that have the MagForce Z or any of the MagForce brakes that have that externally adjustable mag brake. The SVS Infinity found on the Corrado and the older, $129 or $99 reels. And what you have on the Abus, whether it's an IVCB 4, 6, or their mag brakes, or anything out there, Akuma included, I like the external adjustability option. That's me personally. That's just how I prefer, because if I'm switching up, I want to be able to adjust on the fly and not have to pop that side plate open. Now, in terms of everything else, like I think I mentioned it earlier, there really isn't anything close to it. Like, from excluding this, from here over, yeah, that's a perfect way to do it. From here over, I haven't fished in 20 years a $99 bait caster that comes close. I think maybe, was it the Team Daiwa S or X of the year, 2003 maybe? It was like $110, I think, $129 maybe. There wasn't no such thing as street price at the time. I think maybe that might have been the best $100 reel ever made. But even still, from here over, this still feels better. I think this, from here, like when you're retrieving, nothing's better. I really can't tell much of a difference between this and that Corrado K. I really can't. It's an excellent all-around reel. It's very compact. That's starting to become a new thing. Not many, the reel companies are kind of moving away from the high gear ratios and big drag numbers. They're trying to get down to compactness as a marketing standpoint. That I like, because you have your Aldebarans. I think the first attempt at a super compact reel was this Abu Garcia MGX, the original one. I mean, you can see. Look how much smaller that is. This reel's out, what, 6 years ago? 8 years ago now? This is an Avail spool, cork knobs off the MGX Extreme 2 that a subscriber was gracious enough to supply me with. Thank you very much. Carbon fiber optic upgrade for the drag and all that kind of jazz. So again, Abu MGX versus Shimano SLX. Kind of gives you an idea of the size. So no, this isn't the smallest reel in the world, which was kind of a clickbaity thing on the Reel Test channel. Now, with all that being said, do I recommend this? Absolutely. If you're the kind of guy that likes to dedicate setups for a specific rod and reel kind of deal, so if you're just using one for pitch and jigs and spinner baits, that kind of stuff, one for worming, this is great. You just set it and forget it and not worry about it ever again. For jigs and spinnerbaits, it's a great reel. It's just like your old Corrados. If you like the old Corrados, you're going to love this reel, and it's more compact. It's like a Corrado 70 in size, I guess is the best way to put it. It's, again, form, function, fit, finish. It's a great little reel. 99 bucks. Got a good drag stock with the Carbon-Tex upgrade. I think I didn't do any test measurements. I don't really care about risking damaging my reel by trying to see if I can hit the maximum drag number. And guys, let me tell you, you pull at maximum drag at a lot of your reels, you will break them. Don't let anybody tell you anything different, because every single bass star drag, when you pull on that line at maximum drag, you're literally reeling against that pressure. You're putting all the load on the clutch that transfers it to your gear teeth. There is absolutely no need, and these reels are not built to be fished at 10 or 15 pounds of drag. Just throwing that out there, regardless of what the advertised number is. But I did notice that when I upgraded to the Carbon-Tex drag washers, that the uptake between the lower setting and higher setting kind of became quicker. So some people like that, me included. I definitely like being able to go from a lighter drag setting to a heavier drag setting and then backing off quicker. That's just me personally, but it's a feature that I look for in reels. My favorite has to be the Shimano Tranks, the 300 and 400, where they actually remove those Belleville washers and it just runs drag star direct for to the clutch sleeve. You just go 1, 2, you're at 10 pounds of drag, you're at like an ounce of drag. Really cool feature. Not necessarily the case on this, but it's closer than the ones that take you like 6 turns to get anything out of it. So that's a plus, which is what you find in a lot of the Abus that don't have that fancy drag. And yeah, so would I recommend this to people after 1,000 casts worth of, nothing crazy, no big fish caught, just your random largemouth, smallmouth kind of deal? I would. I definitely would. If I'm hesitant, it's mainly because I don't want people to say, oh, Tackle Advisors told me it's a great reel, it's the best thing in the world. I'm always kind of hesitant making recommendations if I really haven't put it through its paces. I can recommend this size and the platform and the footprint and its capacity and gear ratio for a certain situation, but I can't tell you how it's going to last, how it's going to hold up, and if it's going to be the best tool for the job. But when it comes to something like this, pointing out its flaws really does kind of help put it in its place. So what I mentioned earlier about not being able to adjust the brakes externally really is a downfall. It truly is, and there's no way to sugarcoat that. It is a missing feature that the other reels have, but it makes up for it in other areas. So if being refined and fluid and smooth, if that's important to you in a reel, this has it over the other guys. If you're looking for a tool that's going to make you more efficient on the water in terms of getting baits out in the water and casting more, I think you might find the other reels in the price range offer a little bit more in that department. So with all that being said, I think I covered everything I wanted to do because I got to pack this reel up and ship it out to the person who won this reel in the giveaway. And until next time, guys, tight lines, and I'll see you guys soon. I still think it's a nice looking reel. It's pretty dope looking, right? And the blue's not toddlerish. It's kind of, it kind of is. Oh well. Take care, guys.